been going to hardcore shows and I guess introduced to the world of hardcore for about 11 years or so. Kind of around the same time as finding out about straight edge as well. They're kind of two like harmonious things. Like some of the first hardcore bands I got into were straight edge bands. Obviously as a young kid, like I guess you're a bit more prone to, but I had seen a few things along the way that kind of like gave me a bit more of a harder stance on like being alcohol and drug free. At that point, I had been living the lifestyle, and when I kind of heard bands expressing the emotions I was feeling in a way that I hadn't even fully processed myself.
I clean edge 15 years ago. I've never smoked a cigarette, I've never been high. I had one sip of my mom's mojito at a wedding when I was like 9 one time. It's the only alcohol I've ever had in my life.
It probably started in like middle school, high school. Me and my friends would go every Friday and go see some hardcore bands, and at the time I knew nothing about it or what was going on, but it was sick and I loved it. I loved the energy at the shows. Yeah, there's a million definitions of straight edge, but the core one is, you know, no drinking, no drugs. When I first found it, I was very angry at the world. I was in college, so it was most of that like party culture that I was not really with. I was also tired of going out with my friends or like going places and parties and being asked if I wanted anything. And when I said no, they're like, oh, why? So I was like, I'm just gonna say I'm straight edge. But then that anger continued, and I was like, no, I'm like sticking, I'm claiming.
I was someone who would like go to shows and like get drunk in the parking lot, and I was only like 15. It just numbed me basically. And so I remember after one show, that was it. I was just like, I don't want to be this person that's just like stumbling around like before the show even starts. I got a lot of my first introductions to metal, hardcore, like overall aggressive music from my brother. And so he would have like LimeWire, and I had this iPod that I won in Girl Scouts because I sold so many Girl Scout cookies one year. And so I would just download whatever he had on there. My parents always thought I was like too young to go to those shows in like middle school, but my first show was probably like summer after 8th grade. I was going to like metalcore shows and maybe almost like deathcore shows, just going to whatever I could find because I was just hyped on finding something like this and the energy.
You feel like you're a part of the show, like you're a part of the performance, you're a part of the band, you're a part of what's happening in that room that night. It's a hardcore man's dance.
even if there was 50, 60 kids at the show, it was like every single kid there was like involved. They were all going off. They were all fucking making zines. There was kids like, all kids were like taking pictures. People were so fucking psyched and so fucking excited to be a part of this shit and look for new ways to contribute.
Just doing something.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing something.
Well, I think it just shows that like in hardcore, like you, like things are so attainable. Like if you want to start a band, you can literally just do it. Wait. And like, because people decide to just start bands, like those are the bands that I saw and have influenced me.
I am protective of the shit. I don't want to see things come in and cheapen it or water it down and ruin it and fuck it up, because there's gonna be another generation of kids after me who need this shit the way I needed this shit. Hardcore should be covered by hardcore kids writing zines. It should be documented by people who have an understanding of it. That's the coverage of hardcore that matters and historically has kept hardcore like relevant and documented for the next generation of kids.
There's so many. It's kind of funny that I have all these like plastic wrapped, but I want to preserve them as best as I can. Yeah, we got number 1 right here, Search for Purpose, Eco Strike. We talked about the Swarm, and then I wrote like a blurb on veganism in 2018. You know? It's pretty sick. Oh, and then this was our first scene and we didn't know how to do it. So just one of these pages is upside down. Just this one right here, for whatever reason. No matter where you looked, people were doing something, you know? And if you wanted to know about hardcore, before it was big on Twitter, you know, like, you would just read zines, and this is how, when I first started going to shows, this is how I kind of learned about what hardcore was and what I could expect.
There was this one straight edge zine. They talked about how every other aspect of punk and hardcore has been adopted by like society as a whole, like tattoos. People's grandmother have tattoos, you know, like
It's not punk to have pink hair anymore.
but the one that's still like not taken in by mainstream culture is straight edge.
There's not really anything like it in other cultures. Especially with young people, there's this mentality of experimentation with, you know, alcohol or drugs and whatnot. And there's this feeling of it being a rite of passage for young adults.
I found out not too long ago that one of my friends from middle school had passed away about a month ago. He had been struggling with addiction and it ultimately took his life, sadly. So I just want to take a second to say, especially any of the young kids here, these are your formative years. Find what's important to you and nurture that. There are other alternative ways to let out frustration and to cope with things. So find whatever gives your life meaning and purpose and nurture that.
I think about it now, like peer pressure as an adult is like not a thing, but as a young adult, like peer pressure is obviously a huge thing that comes into play. And I guess having the cool thing being a straight edge band sometimes, like, and you get introduced to that and see it at a show, like it might at the very least like allow somebody to think a little bit differently.
That's what keeps straight edge relevant. It's what keeps it from being intangible, you know? Call it what it is. Kids who are drawn to any subculture, they're impressionable. They're looking for something. They want to be accepted. They want to fit in. And it's like, if you show up to your first hardcore shows and you see everybody there is fucking doing poppers, everybody there is fucking doing coke, everybody there is getting fucked up drunk. So to me, it's important for that to still be a voice within hardcore, so that these kids, you know what, if they show up and they don't care about straight edge and they don't want to be straight edge and they want to fucking huff glue and like whatever, cool, go ahead. But the option needs to be there for them.
I would consider myself a pretty stubborn person. And so I think that also plays into the fact, like, I don't want people to tell me what to do. I want to be able to like be present fully and then make my own decisions. You know, kind of this rebellious nature, but not in the same sense of like, I'm rebellious and I'm gonna get fucked up. You know, I'm rebellious and I'm gonna like use my brain and, I don't know, change the trajectory of like the genetic disease of alcoholism and drug addiction.
Hardcore is like underground, but there's a sense of hardcore community everywhere you go. In every state you can find a collection of people who are into hardcore and they all know each other and they're all friends and they all go to the shows together.
I can attribute a lot of the best moments of my life to, I guess, the introduction to the hardcore community and straight edge. I've been able to get self-liberation, community, connection, and memories, and just a release of cathartic emotion throughout all of it.
And even if everybody in my life disappeared right now, like all the bands disappeared, all like my friends disappeared, like I would still be straight edge.
Thank you guys for having to. Great artist next. Let's see you in the trench.